expenditures, while critical sectors such as education and healthcare remain underfunded. The problem is not lack of money. It is absence of accountability. A government that cannot account for existing resources has no moral authority to demand higher taxation. So from us, we would not increase the budget flow to the almost 5 trillion budget Kenya Kwanza is having, and boasting happily that this is the largest budget ever. It's also the budget with the largest deficit ever. A serious country tries to do a balanced budget. We should try as much as possible to spend what we raise. Therefore, a PLP Martha Karua budget would let the figures of last year, which is just short of 4 trillion, remain. In the meantime, we would follow a different path. We would have a budget designed for the people, not politicians and their cronies. A budget that places the people and their needs at the center of economic decision-making. A budget guided by one simple principle. A government exists to serve the people, not the other way around. Kenya Kwanza has gotten it wrong. They think that we exist to raise money for their wasteful spending and to pander to their dreams of luxury. We would invest in education and healthcare because no nation can prosper while neglecting human capital. Health and education are not expenditures, simply they are investments in national development. Under my administration, we would significantly increase funding for these critical sectors in order to restore adequate capitation to schools, improve learning conditions in public institutions, improve infrastructure, support teachers, expand access to affordable healthcare, ultimately to universal access to healthcare. Equip public hospitals with modern facilities and technology, improve remuneration and working conditions of health workers, eliminate corruption and cartel-driven leakages in the health sector and across government. We will restore confidence in public health care and ensure that quality treatment is not a privilege reserved for the wealthy. We would reduce the national health insurance contribution to 500 shillings per family while improving efficiency, transparency, and service delivery. Healthcare must be accessible and, as soon as practically possible, universally accessible to all. Revitalizing agriculture would be another priority. It remains the backbone of our economy, yet our farmers continue to struggle despite feeding the nation. Our rescue budget would allocate 285 billion towards agricultural support and food security initiatives. These investments would focus on affordable, not fake, fertilizer, quality seeds, irrigation infrastructure, agricultural extension services which are lacking, climate-smart farming, strategic grain reserves, cooperatives, value addition and agro-processing. This would also create jobs. We would strengthen local production and protect Kenyan farmers from unfair imports that enrich cartels while impoverishing our farmers. You know about maize, about sugar, even when we still have stocks of sugar, about rice and many other things. The farmer must once again become central to Kenya's economic transformation. We need infrastructure that serves the economy. And our infrastructure spending must create productivity, It must connect markets. You have heard Kenyans complaining of roads. It must support industry. You have heard industry mentioned. It must improve lives. Our administration will prioritize completion of ongoing projects before launching new ones. We've already said that. We will reject politically motivated prestige projects that consume billions while delivering little value to Kenyans. You can almost read housing. William Ruto's pet project of housing. I don't know how many it serves. It's white elephants everywhere. Every shilling invested must produce measurable economic and social returns. Fiscal discipline and responsible governance. Our budget would require total discipline. Under my administration, non-essential government expenditure will be reduced by at least 60%, and some will altogether be scrapped. Luxury spending, excessive travel, unnecessary entertainment costs will be curtailed. All stored projects will be audited and prioritized. We've already said that. Public officers will be held personally accountable for unauthorized expenditure. Anti-corruption institutions will be strengthened to ensure that the wheels of justice roll and economic crimes are swiftly prosecuted and decisively so. We will also reduce excessive domestic borrowing that crowds out business and deprives entrepreneurs of access to affordable credit. By the way, local borrowing has now gone beyond 1.1 trillion. No wonder then that businesses are not able to borrow, and if they do, they borrow at very high interest rates because government borrows at astronomical rates. The government must stop competing with its own citizens for financing. Supporting business growth and job creation. Businesses create jobs. Businesses generate wealth. Businesses expand the tax base, literally grow the economy. Yet many enterprises are today struggling because government owes them money. The Controller of Budget reports 525 billion in pending bills. These unpaid obligations, unpaid by government, have crippled thousands of businesses, destroyed countless jobs, and even caused deaths. You have heard of people committing suicide due to frustration. My administration will audit and settle legitimate pending bills as a matter of urgency. It's a moral obligation. We will also maintain predictable and reasonable taxation. One of the principles of taxation is fairness. You cannot tax people what they cannot afford to pay or what disempowers them from putting food on their tables or doing other critical jobs for their families. We will implement a strong Buy Kenya, Build Kenya policy to ensure that we trade with our SMEs, with our local businesses, as one way of supporting them. Simple things like even furniture in government offices would provide countless opportunities. And we believe that it's SMEs who will give us quick answers to the more needed jobs. There are 7.4 SMEs in Kenya. If they were each to expand by just one job, it's over 7 million jobs. It makes sense to invest in our SMEs, ensure that there is fair taxation, access to credit, and expand their opportunities by partnering them in training, promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. Also introduce a 2-year tax holiday for youth-led startups. A growing economy generates more revenue than excessive taxation. By the way, no country has ever taxed its way to prosperity. You actually kill businesses and cause the economy to stagnate when you overtax the people. relief for workers and families. Kenya workers deserve relief. Families deserve breathing space. That is why I would abolish the housing levy forthwith. The levy has become an additional burden on workers without delivering commensurate benefits to the majority of contributors. Government must stop viewing citizens as an endless source of revenue. Before asking Kenyans to pay more, let us see improved services and responsible management of the taxes we collect. To empower the youth, I will begin by stating that our youth are not a problem to be managed. They are the greatest national asset or resource that belongs to the nation, and my administration would invest in their education and skills development, vocational training, sports, technology, innovation, the creative economy, and digital entrepreneurship. We would not increase taxation on mobile money transfer, internet services, digital platforms, and online enterprises. It is punitive to follow the jobless youth to the sites where they are creating something to sustain themselves with while offering them nothing. We need to support them, and they will in turn help grow the economy. Innovation should be encouraged, not punished. Creativity should be rewarded, not punished. And entrepreneurship should be supported and not punished. And by the way, taxing the mobile money platforms is also punishing the diaspora who so faithfully invest in their country, because ultimately the raised taxation goes to the consumer. A clear choice. Fellow Kenyans, the choice before our country is becoming increasingly clear. Our rescue budget offers fair taxation, fiscal discipline, better healthcare, better education, support for farmers, growth for businesses, jobs for youth, opportunity for all. The Kenya Kwanza budget offers the pain of more taxation, more borrowing, more waste, more hardship, more inequality, and more benefits to the ruling elite. I had the privilege of serving in Kibaki's administration, a government that, especially during the first term, had total fiscal discipline. The economy had not grown to where we were. But during the first term, that government was able to improve services, relying on the taxation from Kenyans. So we are telling you that it is. Experience has taught us that good leadership matters, sound economic management matters, integrity matters. Suffering facing Kenyans today, the suffering that is facing our nation today is not inevitable. It's not our destination. Things can change. It is the consequence of poor policy and poor choices in leadership. What leadership has created, better leadership can correct. In other words, the pain created by Kenya Kwanza can be corrected by a better government. Together we can build a Kenya that rewards hard work, protects opportunity, empowers youth, supports farmers, strengthens businesses, and restores dignity to public office. Pamoja tunaweza kukomboa uchumi wetu. Tunaweza kurudisha tumaini kwa kila mmoja wetu. Chaguo ni letu, tuungane, tujikomboe. Asanteni. That's the end of our response. If you have any questions, but if it is clear, no need. We'll distribute the statement in case any point was missed out. Yes. I think generally we have what we are saying. One, We would not offer a bloated budget. We would remain with the figures of last year. There is no need of boasting that we have the largest budget ever when what we have is the largest deficit ever, which is going to cause the pain of more borrowing. Already we are strained by debt repayment. Why would we spend beyond our means and increase the debt? Let us start with discipline, spend what we can raise. And yes, the previous financial year, the budget was just close to 4 trillion. And we raised about 3.6 trillion. It leaves a small gap. But a budget that goes towards 5 trillion, you are leaving 1 trillion of debt. You are going to borrow more. So we would operate within our means. We would cut wasteful spending. We have already said entertainment and travel, both internally and externally, across the entire government, at the national and county level, we would slash by 60%, and some of the items would be scrapped altogether because some of them are just unnecessary. Wasteful spending includes allocation to State House. Last financial year, State House was allocated 10 billion. In the supplementary budget, they asked for doubling. 17 billion is close, another 7 billion is close to doubling. The previous era where Ruto was the deputy, the budget for State House was 5 billion. Why does it keep ballooning? What development is occurring at State House? What we see is people queuing for money. It's a campaign, rolling out his campaign, while our hospitals are without medicine. We would invest in education and health and agriculture, and yes, infrastructure to support agriculture and business. We have also said that we would support innovation, and we would have a 2-year tax holiday for youth-led startups, that we would punish public officers who spend unauthorized monies that were not budgeted for. You know, these days, the notes from the Auditor General, her audit, goes to the shelves. Every year, she's pointing out money lost, money misapplied, overspending, and nothing occurs. This has to stop, and we have to have it real time. That you cause Kenya pain, we cause you pain immediately. You go through the process. And we have talked of strengthening the anti-corruption body and the justice system generally to ensure that the wheels of justice move. Austerity measures would be across government. No office would be spared. Not State House, not the smallest office. If we are tightening our belts, we tighten them together. And we believe that fiscal discipline alone will save us a lot of money and make it unnecessary to raise taxes. I've also indicated we would scrap the housing levy. We have not seen any tangible results other than contracts to preferred contractors. That money doesn't end up in our budget. It's set aside for giving contracts. It is of no use, yet it's causing pain to pay slip holders. We would reduce the contributions to SHA and prioritize serving the people, not paying contractors. We would audit those contracts with the providers currently on the SHA platform. It cannot be that they get more money than allocated to us for our health needs. I think, in short, we are saying a people-centered budget. And we'll make sure that agriculture gets the support it deserves to feed us.